makes sense of the typology of the scapegoat. But this question about Jesus, like, so the wrath of God, it's like, look, the God, the Son, became a human and actually died. He suffered a death, a real human death. I think that means Jesus was actually dead for 3 days. What does that mean? It means the person who is the eternal Son of God was not conscious for 3 days, or whatever, how long that was, 52 hours or whatever it was, or however it was, but he wasn't alive. But he didn't cease to exist any more than he ceased to exist when he was four dividing cells in the womb of Mary. Where was the Trinity when Jesus was four dividing cells in the womb of Mary, incapable of human cognition? I'll tell you where he was. He was in those 4 cells. That's where he was. So where was Jesus when he was dead for 3 days? Well, he was dead, but his body didn't see corruption. His body was in the tomb. That was God dead right there, quote unquote, God dead. The person who is God was dead, but he didn't cease to exist. His body was sitting in the tomb. And then he came back to life and never to die again, ever, in the presence of the Father, where it dwelt, where no one can approach. The risen God-man, who alone has immortality. Alone. What part of that do people get? The risen kinsman redeemer who overcame the grave, who was dead for 3 days, and is alive forevermore and has the keys to Hades, our forerunner, who can't ever die again. That man alone has immortality. What part of that don't you get? Jesus really died. He died. So that's the wrath he suffered. The eternal Son suffering the death of a human on the cross in full communion with his Father as a human being who is God. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. That's why he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because the eternal God in human form suffered a death of a human being. And he really meant what he said but was he forsaken? No, because the psalm goes on. He did not forsake him ultimately. But you better believe the eternal God, man, losing the light of life in some way, somehow, suffered a real human death. And that must have felt like forsaken. He really felt what he said. But ultimately, he was not forsaken because he was worthy. Of course, worthy is the Lamb who was slain. I think he really felt forsaken. He really experienced the losing connection with the Father, because that's what happens when you die. The source of the unborrowed, underived source of life suffered a real human death for us. And now he's alive forevermore. Amen.